Good morning, my gorgeous friends on the internet. In this episode, we are gonna dabble inside 3D with three.js. Yes, it's a very original name. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put together a kind of a landing page type website, and we're gonna take a look at the basics of three.js. And rather than just building out the silly cube or something, what we're gonna do is load up an actual 3D model, and I'm gonna show you how you can do that. And before we get going, I also want to thank myself for sponsoring this episode. You cannot do that, that's illegal. I just want to give a quick shout out to the creative HTML and CSS course I released last month ago. The support has been amazing. If you're interested in learning more about HTML and CSS, responsive media, animation, CSS grid, flexbox, and all the other stuff, then check out the link in the description. It's the first link down there. Click it, get the course, let me know, tell me how it is. I'm planning on releasing a update to it, either a on Bootstrap or Tailwind. I'm not sure which one yet. I have to pick. If you have any suggestions, you can leave it down in the comments, but of course it's going to be a free update, so if you bought the course, then it's going to be included. Yeah, people know what that means. Okay, let's get into this. Make sure to add the transition sound there. 3 claps so you remember. Okay, let's get going. So this is not gonna be too complicated. I also took this picture outside, so if you're asking me where this wallpaper is from, I took it. It was freezing. Okay. So what we're gonna do first of all is just create these 3 files as always: the app, the index, and the style. Okay, just added some basic style removal here in the index, and the empty app.js. Okay, so there's not a lot of things that we're gonna need here. First off, we are gonna link our stuff as we normally would. So let's link the style. There we go. If you don't have style, then just link it and you're gonna have style. Next up, we're gonna link the app.js. So we're gonna say script source app.js. Make sure to add the / like that. Okay, and now we're gonna need three.js. So you can go to three.js.org and you're gonna hit download, and that's gonna give you a zip file. So if I take a look and find the zip file, you're gonna open that sucker up, and here what we're gonna need is go into the thing. We're gonna go to build, and you're gonna extract the three.min.js. So I'm gonna extract it here on the side. Replace the file. I already have it apparently. Okay, so then we're just gonna drag that one in here, and we're gonna need one more thing. So let's go back here. We're gonna need to go to examples, I believe. Ooh, JS. What is you little sucker? Here, loaders. All right, and here we're gonna search for gltf loader, and we're also gonna extract this one. Okay, so gltf loader, and then I'm gonna drag that one in here. Okay, so this is gonna allow us to basically load up those 3D models that have the gltf extension. Okay, so that's what we're gonna be working with, just because it's very easy and it's more optimized and friendly for the web. Okay, so that's everything we need, and in the HTML, actually, we need one more thing. I'm gonna go here and just add a div with a class of scene, like this, okay? And this is basically where we load up our 3D animation. We have the app.js. Also above this, let's load up three.js. So we're gonna say script source, and we're gonna say /3, and then finally script source, and here is gonna go the GLT thing. So loader. Okay, perfect. So let's go back to the style.css, and here's basically what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of make this so it's in the background. So basically we can add whatever else we want on the side, on the site. So basically the only thing I did was I took the body and I set a font family of sans serif, okay, and an overflow hidden, just in case the 3D thing stretches too much. And what I basically did was I took the scene, and what three.js is going to eventually do is also add a canvas to our scene. So I'm going to add a canvas here, so comma canvas, and I'm just going to add a position absolute to these. position absolute, and then a width of 100% and a height of 100%. In my case, this is what I want the size of the thing to be. So if you want that, so you can add things, kind of make this kind of go in the background, your 3D animation, just add a position absolute to the scene and the canvas and you should be good. Okay, that's kind of gonna be it. So I kind of want to jump straight into JavaScript and let's do it. Actually, we cannot do it. You know why? Because we don't have a 3D model. So for now, we're gonna take one off the internet. In the future, let me know if you want to see some Blender tutorials, because I've been practicing that in the background and you don't even know. So I'm gonna give you one here, free, just search up, hold on, let me drag this so you can see free 3D models on Google. And which one did I found that was pretty okay? Sketchfab? Yeah, I think it was Sketchfab, and I just searched free. It was here somewhere. But anyways, these all, I believe, have all GLTF extension. My voice cracked. Wow. So let's take a look. Which ones are the free ones? It's hard to see. Ah, there we go. Generate the GLTF, as you can see. Let's see if we can find the one that I did. I just searched free. It should be here. We did like a house thing. Where is you, Mr. House? Okay, never mind. Let's just go. I'm gonna link it in the file in the description, but it should be here. It's a house. Let's search house. I believe this one's similar. This one even looks better. Should we get this one? Okay, let's kind of get this one. And then we're gonna hit download somewhere down here. Yeah, this one looks better than the one I had. Okay, where's why did they make this so hard to download? Give it a button! Okay, that guy actually didn't give a download link, so let's take another one. Medieval Watchtower. Let's go with this one. Yes, I like. It kind of works for like a game or something. So here we go. Download 3D model. Oh, it doesn't have, oh yeah, GLTF. So let's download this one. Open it up. And basically what I want to do is grab all of these and add it to I'll do a folder I'll just do 3D and just drag it in a 3D folder. And then we're gonna drag this into VS Code. So let's go back here and drag that folder, copy folder, and we have everything in here. Okay, so now we are ready. Okay, finally we can get started with this. So the first thing we need to do, let's open up live server. So I'm gonna hit go live and just make sure everything works fine. So if I drag this here, press F12, just make sure I don't get any errors. Okay, we are good. Okay, let's minimize this. And what we're gonna do, first of all, to kind of just start, is we're gonna build out some variables here at the top. So variables for setup. Okay, the first thing I want to do is grab the container, which is gonna be the one on our page, on our HTML page that we're gonna inject our thing into. Then we're gonna have a camera. So basically the camera is whatever you're looking at in the 3D world. And we're gonna create a renderer. This is basically gonna render out our 3D that three.js offers for us. Let scene, we're gonna build one of these. The scene is basically the 3D world scene, and the camera basically looks at that scene. Okay, and I believe that's gonna be it. And let's also create the house, because we have a house. Okay, I'm gonna create a function in it. This is what we're gonna call it. And in here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get that container. So I'm gonna say container and set this equal to document.query selector. And we're just gonna select whatever we have in our HTML, which I forgot. So let's go to our index.html, and it's called scene. Okay, so this is my container. Perfect. Next up, we're gonna create the actual scene, and we're gonna add the scene to the container. So create scene. The way you can create a scene, you just say scene equals to new tree. Make sure this is all uppercased. Dot seen like this, and this is just, this one's uppercase. This is so weird. This is the only thing I don't like. There are some specific things that you create in three.js, and you have to like all uppercase something, and then something is just like case like this. At least like make everything like this if you're gonna make whatever. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so now that we have our scene, we need a camera. But we need to kind of set up the camera so it sees things the way we want it to see, if you know what I mean. Okay, so the thing that the camera has is something called the field of view, which is basically how much the camera sees, the angle that we see. Us humans see, how much do we see? Like 120 degrees, like this, right? Because you cannot see everything, you cannot see everything behind you. So this one is kind of, I guess, something that you need to experiment with. The thing I found that worked for this model, actually I don't know if it worked for this model because I haven't tried it, so I guess we're gonna kind of find it out together. But as far as I know, for like video games, if you're up to close to a monitor, 90 works. If you have a TV that's far away, something like 60 or 50. Don't quote me on this one, I might be incorrect. But for now, I just set it to 35 degrees. I thought that this was quite okay. But again, you can experiment with this. Next up, we're gonna grab the aspect, and this is basically just gonna be the container dot client width divided by container dot client height. Okay, so we can kind of set the aspect of everything in here. Client height. Okay, there we go. That's good. So basically, the whole container that we have on the screen. Okay, that's what we want to see with the aspect. Next up, there's something called a near clipping and a far clipping. What are those? Well, basically, you have these 3D models in space. So basically, the clipping means that if it's outside of the zone that we put, you cannot see the 3D model. So maybe you have a near clipping of 1 and a far clipping of 50. So if you have a 3D model that's further away than 50, you're not gonna see that. Okay, so basically everything that's in between the first meter and the 50 meter, that's the only thing that you're gonna see. So we can kind of set a limit here. For this one, a near limit is gonna be 0.1 meter, and a far limit is gonna be 500. Okay, you can, if you don't care about kind of clipping or making things go disappear if they're too far away, you can set this to something like super high and this to something like super low, like 0.1. Okay, so in this case, we don't really care that much about it, but I thought I'd let you know. Okay, so as soon as we have this, now we can kind of just set up the camera. So we can just say camera. What did I press? Everything got bigger. No, I know what I pressed. There we go. So we can set camera and set this equal to, and we can say new 3, so everything uppercase again, and then perspective camera. Now there are two types of cameras. You're gonna find that there's perspective camera and orthographic camera. Usually you're gonna use perspective camera. I wouldn't worry too much about this, but it basically allows you to see 3D the way you imagine 3D being. Orthographic kind of gives you this 2D look to it. It doesn't really care about how far things are. So maybe you have an object here, and as you can see, if my hand is here, it's gonna look bigger. Well, orthographic kind of makes everything flat. But again, we don't care about that because usually in 3D, we're gonna use perspective. Okay, so this is something you just set. And this one takes a few arguments, and we already have the arguments. So we're gonna add the FOV, the aspect, the near and the far, just like that. Okay, finally, we need to set the position of the camera, where we want it to position. I don't know exactly where we want to position this for now, because I'm not sure how big the model is. So this is something we're going to mess around with, but let's set a default position. Camera dot position, like this, dot set, and basically it's X, Y, and Z. So X being like this, Y being up and down, and Z being the depth of it, so for forward and backward. So for now, let's do, I don't know, something like -50, 40, and like 350. I'm not sure. We might need to modify this. Okay, I think we're gonna leave it for this now, and we're just gonna kind of load up the model and everything. So let's experiment with that. What we're gonna do is let's go down here and we're gonna create, actually let's not create a function. Let's set load model like this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say let loader, and we're gonna create a variable here, and we're gonna say new 3GLTF. Big L again, loader like this. Oh, that looks terrible. Okay, let's close this up, and now we can grab this loader and we can just say load like this, and I can just navigate to our 3D folder, and I can just grab the scene.gltf like this, and then we can add a comma after, and we can run a function here, gltf like that. All right, add a pair of curly braces in between these two like that. And here basically what we can do is we can add this model to our scene. So we can say scene.add, and we have access to this gltf.scene. Okay, so this one here, we can just kind of inject it into our scene. Perfect. And basically here, this gltf gives us a lot of things back about our 3D model here. So if you console log gltf, you're going to have access to like the position of it, the scene of it, and things of that sort. So this is a large object basically. Okay, next up, let's see, what do we want to do? Well, what we can do is we can just render out one frame of the model. So not run an animation, just kind of render something out. Let's just say, what we can do is we can say renderer like this. Have we made the renderer? Okay, wait, we haven't made a renderer yet. So let's go up here actually. So let's kind of name this the camera setup like that, and let's create a renderer down here, renderer, because we basically want to render out the 3D thing that we just made. So we're going to say renderer dot equals new 3 like this WebGL renderer. This is what we're basically going to use and mostly going to use. And in here we also have something called, we can add an object and say nt alias and true like this. So this, if you played games before, you know what this is. If you don't, basically the edges of the objects that you add, your 3D models, are going to look a bit wonky, especially if you zoom in. So what it kind of does, if you add nt alias, it kind of interpolates those pixels and adds some blur to it, with different kind of, with specific, this is weird to explain, with specific amounts of opacity. So it kind of looks smooth. So it just makes the small edges smooth, especially if you have like wires or something very, very small, that kind of look kind of jaggy. Anti-alias kind of fixes that for us. So I'll just add it there. Okay, that's also what I need to do is grab the renderer and basically set a size to this. So I'm going to set the size, and this is a parentheses. I'm just going to say container dot client width like that, and comma container dot client height. Okay, so we basically set a size of what we want to render, which is basically the size of the container that we have on our HTML page. Wait, keep doing this with my hands. Stop it. Okay, and finally, what we need to do, there's another thing that we can add here, renderer dot set pixel ratio, and for this one, I'm just going to add window dot device pixel ratio like that. Okay, and the name here is kind of self-explanatory. You just set the pixel ratio of whatever device you are on. And finally, we can kind of just append this container to our HTML page. So this whole container with the renderer and everything and the 3D camera and the scene and everything, you want to append child and you want to say renderer dot DOM element. Okay, so this basically kind of injects a canvas to our HTML page and we're going to see everything work. Okay, oh my goodness. I know it's a lot, but we are getting through this together. We can do this. So now down here, we can actually say something like scene, not scene, renderer dot render, and I want to render the scene and the camera. All right, these are the two parameters we can add to this. Okay, can we see anything? No, we cannot. Okay, we also need to run the function. So go down here and say init. Okay, but the problem right now is that we don't see anything, as you can see. Everything is dark. So what we can do is kind of remove that background, and we can kind of add our own background in CSS if we want. So what we can do is actually go here to the renderer, and we can just add a comma, and we can just say alpha and set that to true, like that, which means we can add any background we want and we can actually see the model. So I changed the model. I picked actually this one. The other one was now loading for some reason. So if you're interested, it's free, game ready, low poly medieval house on Sketchfab. Okay, we're gonna do this one. Okay, so let's take a look if that works. And there it is. So it's there. It's super dark though. We cannot see it. Before we do anything though, let's kind of position it the way we want. So the way you can position it is just go back here, and remember you can just kind of mess with the camera position. So if I make this 50, it's going to be way smaller. If I make this 10, it's going to be way closer, like that. So let's do, I don't know, it's just kind of experimenting around and see what you like. Maybe 30 here, and then we can move it X position wise more, like 10. Let's see what that's gonna do. Actually, we need -10 to move it to the right. -8, -8, and make this maybe just a bit bigger, 35. Actually 25. Save. Okay, and let's also move it down a bit. Let's add 10, that's too much. 5, too much. 3, yeah. 2, okay, yeah, let's go 3. Okay, so kind of just mess around, position it the way you want. I think for this one, yeah, we're gonna kind of keep it like this. That's fine. So why is it dark? Why cannot we see anything? Well, we don't have any lights because something needs to illuminate the scene for us. So we can do that. And I'll show you one that's kind of adds general light on everything, and then we're also going to take a look at directional lights. So what we're going to do, let's open this up. What we can do is just right above here the camera, we can add something called an ambient light. So const ambient, and we're going to set this equal to new 3.ambient light, like this. And here we can pass a color. We're going to do 0x 40 40 40. And the second number here is basically going to be how much light do we want on it. I'm going to add 1. I'm not sure how much I want to add for now. We're just going to see how it looks on the actual model. So finally, we can just add the ambient light to the scene. All right, and basically the ambient light is going to illuminate everything equally. Okay, it's not like the sun or something that's shining on you and it's casting shadows. It kind of illuminates everything equally. Okay, so let's take a look. We can kind of see, but it's not enough. So we can kind of bump this up to 3. Okay, that's good. Maybe 5. Just kind of pick something that you like. Okay, see, now we can see it perfectly fine. But again, I still want something to shine on top of it. So I'm going to make this a bit darker. So I'm going to do 3, so kind of shadowy, like this. And then I'm going to light something on top. This is just something so we can see the model, this ambient light. Okay, let's take a look at how we can animate this, and then we're going to also add the other light to it. So this is actually not difficult at all. What we can do is go here to our loader. I'm going to remove this console log here. And what we can do is just grab that house that we had up there, the variable that we created, And we can set this equal to gltf.scene. So here on the scene, we can get the children 0, like this, the array, which is the actual house, the actual object. Okay, and then what we can do is down here, we can create a function animate like this. And what we can do is say request animation frame like this, animate. All right, so I want to run this function over and over and over again. And then what I can do is say house.rotation.z plus equals to 0.005, something very small. So I want to rotate the house like this. Okay, and then rather than doing the renderer up here, which is just going to render out an image, I can cut it and paste it down here. And here I can run this animate function. Okay, so this is going to run all over again, and it's going to re-render every time and update the position of the house and just add to the Z. Okay, there we go. Take a look. We did it. Nice. So let's also add a light to this. Let's go here to the ambient, and we can add something called a directional light. So I'm going to say const, let's just name this light for now. I'm going to set it equal to new dot 3 directional light. All right, and again we can do the color 0xFFFFFFF, and I'm going to do 5 for this. Okay, and finally, all I need to do is set the position of the light. I'm going to say light position dot set. Let's do 10, 10, 10. And again, this is something you're going to have to mess around and see how it looks. And finally, we can just add it to the scene. And let's take a look now. And now we cannot see it anymore. Okay, let's move it further back. Let's do 30. Or let me make sure we don't have any other errors. Yeah, expected target got identifier. What? What does that even mean, my friend? Okay, we know it's on line 27. Because I messed up some. Oh, okay, here. There we go. Save. Okay, so now everything is super illuminated, as you can see. So I don't want this to be as intense, but as you can see now, it's kind of our ambient light is there, and where it's casting the shadows. See, as soon as it moves here to the front, it's going to illuminate itself. But as you can see, this is still not that dark because we have the ambient light going on top of it. But this is way too intense. I don't want this to happen. So what we can do is kind of lower this, or we can kind of move this further back. Let's say 100. Let's see if we can get a more natural look to this. Let's do 4. That's still too bright. All right, let's do 3 on this and 2 on this. Is this refreshing? Let me make sure. Okay, I think I'm gonna do 2 and 2. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with 2 and 2. So there we go. Now we can actually see when this comes to the front, it has a nice transition to it. With some nice shadows and nice lights. This may be also a bit too bright. You can kind of mess around. It also kind of depends on the model that you have, but this is perfectly fine. Okay, so now that we added this alpha, we are kind of done with everything. So we can actually go back to style.css here. If I want to add something to the background, I can just say background, and I can say gray or something like that. Okay, so there we go. We can just kind of modify it from our CSS. Well, it doesn't work if you add a linear gradient. So I tried this red, blue, Naboo, blue. Okay, this doesn't work. But there's a workaround for this. You can grab an image with a gradient. So if you search up an image with a gradient like this, I searched up one from Wallpaper Access. If you hit save, this should work. It doesn't work. All right, why you do this? Maybe I didn't do the link correctly. There we go. So I didn't copy it correctly, but now it works. Okay, so you can grab this link. It's Wallpaper Access 1155041 JPEG. Okay, and boom, we can add our little gradient here. Perfect. And now that we have this, we can just super easily add anything we want. So if I want to add a nav or something with a UL, LI, A, or just LI, let's just keep things simple. A. Oh, this is horrible. LI, LI, yo. All right, so we can add it on top here, and we can just kind of build out the site on top of it, which is super cool. Okay, so that's it. I'm gonna keep this one simple. Make the text here if you want, but that's how you can load up the models. Actually, we still have a problem. You know what? This isn't resizing too well right now. You don't want that to happen. So what we can do is let's go back here and add a resize to this. So it's not gonna be too bad. What we can do is say function on window resize. And here what we can do is say camera.aspect, set this equal to container.width, actually client width, like that, by client, is that correct? Container.client height. Okay, so we can do that, and finally we can update the camera dot update projection matrix, and this is going to take care of everything for us. And finally, renderer dot set size container. Yeah, I'm not remembering this, trust me. This is something you just copy paste once and you're good. Container dot client height. All right, so you set these things and then you're good. And then you can say window, add event listener, and then you can basically add on resize that you're gonna run this function on window resize. Okay, so every time we resize our screen, we're gonna run this. Yeah, look at that. Now it's cool. Now it's nice, and it gets smaller, it updates itself, and there we go. So, hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for watching. And actually I have an outro for this. I have outros for every episode. Why do I keep saying goodbye in here? Take it away, Ed. Okay, that's gonna be it. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know if you want to see more things on three.js. And I actually need to research it more because there's not that much information out there on it. Yes, you have the documentation, and yes, you have some blog posts on it, but it's Facebook. But it's severely lacking in video tutorials, I feel like. Like if you go on YouTube and search up the three.js stuff, you're gonna find mostly like introduction and how to build out the queue. But let's be honest, like how many times are we actually gonna use that in real world? It's hard to speak these days. So yeah, I might do a bit of research on it and maybe implement some cool effects on this channel and do some tutorials on it. But of course it's gonna take some time, so bear with me. Okay, make sure you take down your Christmas tree, and I will see you in the next episode.